In this video, we're going to talk about the Home Safety Evaluation, otherwise known as the HSE for short, or the Home Safety Eval. We'll talk about how to add one, fill it out, and delete it if needed, and then also finalizing. So in order to access the HSE, the user must have the case-home safety evaluation permission. So if you don't see this last node here, the Home Safety Eval with the shield icon, or you can't edit it or you can't delete it and you need to, then you'll have to contact whoever manages the user accounts at your agency and request the appropriate level of access that fits your needs and responsibilities. So to add a Home Safety Eval, you'll just simply highlight this node label or an existing assessment record if you had one added already, and then click the Add button. Whoops, I kind of clicked that weird. Okay. Then you'll see the system already populates the date of evaluation with today's date, just to save time if it happens to be today. If it doesn't, you can just, backtrack it to whatever the real date of evaluation was. And then when you're ready, click Add. Cancel, and the red X would just close the pop-up without adding anything. Okay, so every time you add a Home Safety Eval, you can have multiple, but the date will always need to be unique. So I will not be able to add another one with that same date. The system will provide an error. So that's one rule about that. You'll also see now that I've added an HSE, the node label is the assessment date and the agency code. So this is just because you can have multiple Home Safety Evals, and it could be from different agencies. And if you do, it's just nice to see which ones are yours right at that top level. Another thing to keep in mind is that if there are other HSEs added from other agencies, you can only view them. You'll never be able to edit another agency's assessment. And that's true of all the different records up here, the end of transition, the notes, the housing assessment, etc. So that's just kind of consistent behavior. Some other things that you might notice right away is that there is a primary diagnosis and ICD code filled out, and an age. Those are actually the only two really kind of different fields in the Home Safety Eval. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. So let me just describe why these guys are already filled out. So there's a primary diagnosis field in the CTA, and since this is the same participant, we figured we'd just copy that data for you. And the living CTA should be up to date and the most recent information. So that's where it comes from. If you need to update it, you can, clear it and then type something else in there, or you can just wipe it out and start typing, and the ICD code will be updated. If you want it to be null completely, you have to use this clear button, because just wiping out this top field will not clear the ICD code. So just be conscious of that. And then the age. The age is calculated at the time of the assessment, so you'll want to make sure you have the date of birth added. That's how it's calculated. So it uses the assessment date and then the date of birth, and then calculates how old you were at the time of the assessment. So this age field will not update as time goes on, once the participant turns 71, 72. No, it's always going to say 70 because it's based on the assessment date. If you update date of birth too, that is also, or the HSE date, it's not going to update. It only calculates it the one time at add. So be careful of that and make sure you have those dates correct. So the assessment itself is really straightforward. It's basically broken down into the area layout and then all the different types of rooms in a home. And all the questions are, radio buttons or memos and text fields. There's not a lot of crazy different copying or, weird types of data grids or anything like that. It's a pretty easy assessment in that regard. So there's not a lot to point out. You'll notice there's no missing feature in any of it. That's because the state and agencies indicated that there really wasn't anything that we could nail down as a required field to finalize the assessment, since it's all dependent on, the person's home and what's kind of going on there. And So that for that reason, there are no required fields to finalize. So when you want to finalize the HSE, you're going to want to make sure you're reviewing each of the sections and checking out and making sure that you have entered what you want. And once you are all set, you'll go to the finalize node, and then you literally just click this finalize button. But you want to make sure you're ready, because as soon as you finalize the assessment, everything's going to be locked and you're not going to be able to make any other changes past that. And so if you do want to make changes after it's finalized, you'll have to have a special never see record locks permission, and same with deleting it. So you can delete it up until it's finalized with just your regular case-home safety evaluation permission delete level, but after it's finalized, you'll have to have never see record locks. So if I went to delete it right now, I can click on any of the nodes and subnodes and then click the delete button, click confirm delete, and then you'll see the record is deleted. I'm going to add one back so I can show finalization. And to finalize, it's just that simple as clicking this button and click continue to actually confirm the finalization. And then you can see now the finalized by and finalized date time are populated with the date and time that you finalized it and who did it. And then also you can see the record now has a lock icon next to it, because you're now locked out of it as an agent user, and everything will be read-only and you can't change it. So that's how that works. I think that's all I got for the home safety eval.